they come in and they have their collection that they've built up over these years, and they go in and they start getting talked into selling at 60, 70, 80% of comps. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows what comps are and how they're buying cards, and if you're buying cards as a hobby, that's one. If you're buying it as an investment, that's something more of a long-term strategy. Let's talk about a few things that have came up. Well, first of all, this is for your entertainment. This is not investing seminar or anything. So don't take everything to the point to where you go and withdraw your life savings and bring it into cards. So although I did, so it's we'll see how that works. But anyway, so investing. Again, this is about investing. There's a lot of people that collect cards. I collect cards because I see it as investment. Some people see that as my sickness. I see it as but I'll see when I'm looking at a card, I see a dollar amount. So I'm sure everybody has their own experiences. One of the experiences, and coming up on this show, I want to talk about moms. My mom's really special to me, and we had a mom come in from out of town that brought her child up, and it just gave me a lot of memories, and I want to share that with you. I brought my Nolan Ryan collection up here, part of it, and so that way I can show you the differences between the Nolan Ryans and why it's investable, and how you can make quick equity on tangible investments such as Nolan Ryan with his service and his foundation. So let's talk about that a little bit. And I brought a Babe Ruth up here to show you how you value cards is up to you. As a new collector, a lot of times people will grab cards and they'll be buying, selling, trading cards, and they will feel like they've been taken advantage of. And I have to tell them that that's up to them. How they want to buy and sell their cards is up to everybody, but hold your value, and we'll explain a little bit more coming up. I bought a card, and back to moms. I bought a card this weekend, and it reminded me of another card that I have that looks like trash. Okay, and so I thought about whenever I was a kid and 12 years old, and my mom threw away, probably some cards that weren't even of a value. But after that, she's always brought me to card shows. And I've really enjoyed the hobby because of her. So her and my dad, they were great. So they've been great. They still come to the shows, and so I've been blessed. I want to share some of this with you guys. So I was at this last Dallas card show. I went home on Friday night and I checked my emails, and I had an email from Haley, and she was bringing her son up the next day from Waco, and she was buying tickets, and for some reason it wasn't showing that they'd went through. So she was worried about it, and it was her son's 13th birthday. She wanted to make this really special. He had been planning this for like half a year, that he was wanting to come to this show and have her bring him. They came up, and that morning she took him around, and it was it reminded me of when I was a kid, and I was just thinking, man, that's really a special 13th birthday party for it would have been for me. And so anyway, I just wanted to have a shout out to Haley, and then Kipton. Man, Kipton comes in with this collection. It's a whole different level from whenever I was a kid. When I was a kid, you had a little cigar box or whatever, and your album, even worse. Put those things in an album, dent the cards whenever they're going in, and they get logged, or they get like, I don't even know what that says. Plastic, whenever it heats up, it gets some kind of chemical on it, and so it doesn't do cards good over long terms. But he had his Zion box, walking around with it, and by the time that he got done with the day, he had that overfull. I mean, there was deals in there. I was talking to him on the way out, and for his 13th birthday, he had all these cards. He's a Patrick Mahomes collector, but he had purchased the Downtown. He purchased a Marcus Allen who was signing. downtown Marcus Allen and got it signed. Like I say, I think she provided a great experience, and it was really fun for me to see from the outside. She was really appreciative, and like I say, we love people that love the hobby like that, and I believe that Kempton will be. He'll be a big collector for years to come. Maybe hopefully setting up one day. So happy birthday, happy 13th birthday, Kipton, and we'll hopefully see you at the next show. I better shout out to Waco. So they came in from Waco. So appreciate you, Waco. Hopefully we'll see everybody coming up soon. Shout out to Waco. Thank you guys for coming in. I'll keep on the subject of moms and the cards that Mom threw out. Like I say, when I was a kid, Mom threw out some 1982 Topps cards, and I think she's felt guilty ever since, and has been trying to repay me ever since. So I was at the show this last weekend, and whenever you're a kid, you have this. There was a Sears catalog that came out, and you could order a trading card, like an album, like those plastic albums, and it would put like a little handful of cards together that were vintage at the time, but it's probably 10 years old. They were equivalent of 1990 Donruss or something. And they'd have a few stars in them and everything, but they'd keep us happy. But they had a book that came into it, and you would tear these cards out. Of course, they had the Napoleon LaJoie. They had the Ernest Wagner, the Joe Jackson rookie, and it just kept on going. And so that's where I found out about vintage cards, is through that little book. So one of the ones that I haven't had through the years, but I finally had the opportunity. I walked into one of the vendors, and I seen a card, and I was like, oh my God, that's the card I wanted. And it was within my price range. Not only that, but it was cheaper than what it should have been. So I'll show you here. It's 1938, and that's Joe DiMaggio. So Joe DiMaggio, that's his rookie card. That's what they consider his rookie card. And there's some earlier ones, but they're like larger cards. But Joe DiMaggio, 1938, married to Marilyn Monroe at one time, one of the greatest ball players ever to play. But that card. So then there's two different versions. This right here is the version that has all the lettering on it on the front. So the other one's a little bit. This is the one that I wanted for years. But it's kind of a goofy looking card. So to me, it's always been cool. But I guess it's kind of goofy looking. So whenever I was looking at this and buying it, this right here, I have another story to tell you about this. Maybe I'll run that into the investing part. So we'll come back to this one, But anyway, so it brought to my attention that, man, if you remember the Joe Jackson that we had, the Joe Jackson piece of scribble, it's like, that's something that you have to realize what it is before you throw it away. So here's another one. So this card right here reminds me of this one. This right here is 1916 Babe Ruth, and it's called Big Head. And so this right here is kind of what they based this one, the Joe DiMaggio on. And so as I was going through my cards, getting ready for today, I seen this card and I thought, this is a perfect example of what not to throw away, but it looks like trash. Corey from 105.3, he was at a show one time and he held it and he goes, wow, man, that is one goofy looking little doodle. That's what he told me. That's a goofy looking doodle, Kyle. That's what I would say it is. What is it? And so it's 1916. So that would be from his rookie year, that era, and from Babe Ruth, and there's 8 known. And so that card, we'll get to value here in just a little bit, and how you perceive value, how you go into investing with cards, and what my perspective is on investing in cards. So a card like this is it's one whenever you pass by it. I think there's a reason there's only 8 known, is because everybody else would have thrown it away. It's amazing that PSA can actually distinguish what that card is. But it's that's one of those cards that probably was meant to never have survived. So, and Babe Ruth rookie is that's one that I would have never been able to afford if everybody else would have known what that card was. And so I got lucky on that one. that's the type of cards. Again, back to the moms. Shout out to Waco. It's like, but all that sort of tied in this weekend at the show. I was really impressed by Kenton's collection. Started thinking about moms, and then started thinking about, man, what was thrown away when I was a kid, and compared to what it really was, and then plus what. And I hear that story every day. Somebody went to the Army, somebody went to wherever they went on in real life, and they had those cards there, and they just got trashed. And of course, they're always $1 million worth of cards, of course, right? And that doesn't matter. Even if they still have them, they're walking into the shop a lot of times. Oh, yeah, this right here is my retirement. And so we had a 52 Mantle come in that was fake, and it was like really sad because the guy had thought that was really what his kids were going to go to college on. So, but anyway, watch what you buy, watch what you invest in. Make sure they're graded if they're going to be of high value, and if they're not graded, we'll make sure you have some kind of guarantee. So anyway, that's what I thought about when I was going through my cards for the episode. This right here, and moms, we love you. So thanks for the support. Next segment would be investing in cards. I think I'd like to talk to you a little bit about, first of all, investing, but also knowing what the value is. How do you know value of cards? And we'll get these first-time card vendors at the show that are wanting to set up at tables, and it's crazy because they always, a lot of times they do just fantastic the first show, and what happens is they come in and they have their collection that they've built up over these years, and they go in and they start getting talked into selling at 60, 70, 80% of comps. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows what comps are and how they're buying cards, and if you're buying cards as a hobby, that's one. If you're buying it as an investment, that's something more of a long-term strategy. So there's guys that, or a lot of people will buy cards in breaks, and I see a lot of that at the show. People will bring all these cards that came from breaks, came from unopened packs, stuff they sent off to get graded at Beckett. The people that are doing that are actually knowing what they're doing whenever they're buying and selling cards. And I just want, as new collectors, when we're a new collector coming into the hobby, it's hard not to get trapped into that. So, and if you've ever, I mean, it's a retail product that you're buying, and whenever you resell that retail product, it's tough as a beginner to make money off of that. So let's go a little bit more into that. What makes a card worth money? Okay, and it depends on the value that you hold the card. Okay, and this is always behind the table, behind the collector, in the little suitcase that you have. What do you have? What's your value on this? And so when I'm talking to new collectors, like a lot of times I'll have these new collectors will come into the shop and they'll say, "Oh man, I sold all this right here," and it's like I did, and they get suckered into the 80% or 60% or whatever. It's like, number one, whenever you're looking up comps, there's different comps. Okay, so you have to go in. You got to make sure that you trust the source that you're getting the comps from. Number two, you look at the top and bottom. You don't just look at the bottom. And number three, whenever I'm looking at that, I'm trying to buy from the comps at a percentage of comps. And whenever you're buying, you should be starting off with that. And that's how you make equity in cards. Is you invest in the opportunity to have the tangible asset and put it into your safe. Here's a card that is an example. So as we go into investing in cards, here's a card as an example that's okay. They're not making any more of them. Okay, and this is a Babe Ruth. It's a 1920 Babe Ruth, and it is a W514. So if you look at the Babe Ruth, it's a picture here. Okay, and this is the only card that Babe Ruth, during his playing days, was listed as a pitcher as a Yankee. And so I believe that's correct. I've always, like I say, that's always what I've heard. That's what I've read. That's all the information I know. But anyway, so there's let's see here. We have 116 of these with PSA and 70. So we have under 200 of these known. So this is a Babe Ruth. Not only this, but this is a printing era. If you look, there's no face on this card, okay? Some people are going to see that as devaluing the card, and there's going to be a few people that see it as an accelerator for the value. All right, I'm one of the guys that I like era cards. This is one of the era cards, and I see it as rare, but it's also rare of the rare from the 1920s. I mean, right after this is the second card that came out after he became a Yankee, and so that's exciting for me. That's when I'm looking at value going forward. That's what I'm looking for. I don't care what past value, and most of the time when I'm buying cards, I don't really care what past value is unless it's a flip. Okay. So we'll explain flips here in a minute too. So for new card collectors, but for experienced card collectors, it's like you have to understand that these right here, these are cards that are investment opportunities, and for vendors, this is the kind of card that you get and you buy and you put into investors' hands. That's where the hobby is going to end up going. People are going to be putting these tangible assets in their safe. I mean, they're putting gold and silver. I see these economy crashes. It'll say, oh, the economy's crashing. What are we going to do during this economy crash? And it's like, hey, I'm going to buy gold. And it's like, that's probably not the best bet. I mean, gold back in the 1920s was probably the best bet, but nowadays I'm not sure that it's transferable as economies get worse. It's like it's like I say, I think baseball cards are every bit the investment, and I guess they're not conductive. That's the only thing. So again, Babe Ruth, that's my guy. Keep on going with Babe Ruth. That is, I mean, the vintage cards are the way to go. They're not making any more of them. The new cards have hype. I love the hype, and that's what carries the hobby. That's what's taken it so accelerated it so much. I mean, all the podcasts, all the eBay, all the influencers that are out there putting this stuff out on, and they're showing their cards, showing their collections, showing what they purchased at the shows. And like I say, that helps me, helps everybody in the hobby. The recirculation of the breakers, of the repackers, all that's part of the hobby, and like I say, all that's necessary to get to the point that we have now. It's like a huge cycle. There's actually a rarity in cards. I mean, we never thought that would happen. 2018 didn't think that there'd be any cards that would be rare. It's like that. That's what's happened. It's hard to get the product. Call any of your shops, and they'll tell you how hard it is. It's like it's not like it used to be on these or in the old days. So invest in cards. That's how I do it. That's my goal. Whenever I'm buying cards, is I put them into my safe. So I think if you do that, you'll be happy. I think eventually you'll look at it, and it's a tangible market. That the problem has been in the past that it's not easily liquid. But like I say, in this day and age in the market, and then plus as globalization happens, there's more and more buyers in the market. You have to understand that this stuff is liquid. It's going to be valued, and it's a great investment. All right. I brought another couple of things here. My Nolan Ryan. I've spoke to you guys about Nolan Ryan. Nolan Ryan, being in Texas, is that's my favorite player. I grew up, and it's like Nolan Ryan was that was king of baseball whenever I was growing up. Right after Nolan Ryan, you had Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds. You had all that influence of baseball they called the steroid era, which it's another subject, but guys, we got to get those guys in the Hall of Fame. Those guys, it's not fair to my generation. Those guys need to be in the Hall of Fame. Bud Selig's in the Hall of Fame. The old timers put in Bud Selig in the Hall of Fame. He was the commissioner. It doesn't work. Well, we got a whole different podcast on that, because I'm going to get excited, and I'm going to get a little. I'm pissed off. All right, I'm pissed off. Barry Bonds, it just doesn't make any sense. Next to Babe Ruth, greatest, most dominant player to play the game. But Nolan Ryan. Now I say that Nolan Ryan was, in my generation, the most dominant pitcher. And up north, I mean, it's like, okay, so Nolan Ryan was a Texas kid. He went to New York. He got out of New York, went to California, then went to the Astros and become the first $1 million contract. was throwing the ball 95 miles an hour on the old radar guns whenever he was 45 years old, 40s in his 40s, with a curve that would just like bite and it would just like lock your knees. And so this guy, whenever he was on, there was nobody like him in my generation. I mean, I hear Sandy Koufax and all those guys, but whenever Nolan Ryan at that age was on, there was nothing like him. One hitters, I mean, he was the king of the strikeouts. He's king of the no hitters, one hitters, two hitters, whatever. It's just he never won a Cy Young. I finally, after all these years, have somebody walked into the shop one day and it's like because they were from Philadelphia and they're saying, oh yeah, Nolan Ryan won. And I said I never have understood that argument. And he said, well, because he never won a Cy Young, and that's like. Well, that's a good point. I never thought about that. I mean, longevity, I mean, all that's the championship. I mean, all that is just throw that out the door. Jeter never won an MVP either, though. So there you go. Okay. So it's like, but anyway, but Nolan Ryan had some great years. He was striking out twice as many people as most of the pitchers, and it's just, and he's still one of those accessible guys. Okay. He doesn't want to come to card shows. But he has a great foundation. So down in Waco too, actually. So his foundation is down in Waco. You can send cards to him, and so I'll show you some of the rookie cards that I'll buy at shows, and we'll walk around. I'll tell you how I start this. So whenever I walk around at a show, me and a couple of my other guys, they'll look for Nolan Ryan rookies. Okay, and some of the vendors know we like Nolan Ryan rookies too, and so we will find those Nolan Ryan rookies out there on the show floor, and we will purchase them with intent to get signed. That's if it's like a 3 or 4. Now the beauty of the Nolan Ryan rookie is Jerry Koosman he signs through the mail. Okay, so Jerry Koosman signs through the mail, and it's not like $10 is what he charges. So we will get these, and whenever I'm talking about investing in cards, when I'm talking about making your assets a tangible asset and making it actually add value at the first. Whenever you purchase the card, once you send it into Koosman, there's a little bit of work involved. Sending it to Nolan, it takes you a couple months to get those back. You get it back from back, you may have 3 months into the card, but the great thing is you've taken a card that you've paid $200-300 for. You've added the autographs, and if you get inscriptions too, that's a little different. But the autographs cost you about $100. The Beckett grading, I mean, that's probably $30-40 to get it graded. So you have $450 to $650 into a card that you can put into your safe, and it's doubled value already. So you have taken something and you've made it smart. So, and like I say, these guys, people keep on, it's like these guys, nobody's getting younger. These guys here, they still sign. Jerry has a little bit, takes him a little bit longer, but he signs through the mail, and you're also taking some risk putting in through the mail. But I mean, there's not many investments that you can go and put that kind of money into and double your money as far as net asset value. I've got like a stack of these at the house. It's like in the safety deposit box, and this one right here, this has Nolan Ryan. It has several inscriptions on it. It costs more to have the inscriptions on, but he signs these. It's like you can sort of like, you can decide. And again, this comes back to value. How do you value that card? You value it as your card. So you determine the value. Now, he's still signing these. He won't always be signing these. He used to sign them. He had put 101.7 or 100.7 miles per hour. He doesn't do that anymore. And like I say, that's a value that you won't get back. It's like, so anybody that got those prior have like an added value on that. Although, again, like I say, our job is to buy stuff, at a decent price. And so whenever we're buying it, it's like that's probably something that's not calculated. But whenever it gets into a vendor's hands, then the vendor's going to be asking that extra money for. So as a new collector, as vendors that are coming into the show, that's just something that we learn as we go. Vendors that come in the show, they'll buy something for $800. Let's say the Nolan Rhines, they were in the ones that had the 100.7. Say they bought that at $600 back in the day. They sell it today for $900. They're thinking that they've made $300. But whenever they try to go replace that product, you can't replace it for the same price. And that's the expensive lesson after your first show. Just come out, enjoy the first show, understand the business, learn the business, and then sign up for the second show. And that's when you get serious about selling. So Nolan Rhines he's got 4 different cards, his rookie. And his rookies they vary in value. It's rarity, supply, and demand. And I brought a few of them here tonight that just kind of show you the differences between the cards and the rarity. This is Topps. This is the one that everybody knows. Okay. Topps card, Nolan Ryan rookie. This is a card that in 1993, 94, when Nolan was really, I mean, he was sick out there on the mound. Man. He was killing it, throwing no hitters and he was dominant. So, but this card went up to just in the 90s, early 90s. They didn't really have grading. So whenever you had a card, it was like, hey, is the reckon value? It's like, hey, I reckon this card's a X, EX, X mint, near mint. So, and then late 90s, they started coming up with a grading system, and they grade these 1 through 10. And so that makes a whole different level of cards. So whenever you're grading cards, it's like, but Topps. So I'll give you an example of this right here. There's 19,319 approximately out there that are PSA or SGC graded. So there's a pretty good population now compared to collectors out there. This right here is going to have the population is not going to be enough to suit every collector that would be out there or investor, and so. As these right here, and that's just happened on eBay, is like as these right here were up for $2,000 back in the 90s for sale, they also went down whenever eBay came out because you had a surplus of supply. And so now what's happened is that they're in collectors' hands now. And so as we're looking at these cards, it's going back up. So that $2,000 card may have went down to $400, and now it's back up to $2,000 or whatever, and it could be even accelerated more than that because like a 10 in that card would be multi-million-dollar card. The last time it sold, I think there's only one that's a 10, and I believe it sold for like $750,000, and that was years ago. So it's like I believe that was pre-COVID, and so you're never going to find that price again on that card. So but nines, those will sell for $70,000. Like I say that. If you'd have went back to 2015, you could probably bought that card in a 9 for $15,000 in a PSA 9. So I mean that's really, really nice appreciation for your value. That card though, there's 20,000 of them, 19,319, a little bit under 20,000. So that's not a common card. It's something that's collector's value because it's the greatest player ever or the greatest pitcher ever to play. According to the Texans. So that's a good value card. Then you have, but there's 3 more. This right here is the Milton Bradley. This is the second most. There's the second most that are out there. There is 564. There's about 829 total that are graded. Okay, so that's less than 1,000 of this card out there that's graded. And you really don't want to buy these cards unless they're graded or unless you know what you're doing. But anyway, and this is Beckett holders. It's so about 829 between SGC and PSA. That's the only ones that they pulled up for me, and that's available on the website, SGC or PSA. They have pop reports for that. So Nolan Ryan, this right here would be and then we start getting to the really rare. So this is where it gets exciting, okay? Because nobody knew that these cards. I say nobody knew. People didn't realize that these cards, they didn't think about these cards being so rare. Whenever I used to hear O-Pee-Chee, I thought there was 10 tops for every one of Peachy, okay? But when you start looking at the pop reports, that's not even close to true. So as far as rarity goes, this card right here, this is an O-Pee-Chee, and it looks different on the back Here's a Topps. So here's a Topps. So it's different on the back. That's how you would know whenever you're going into the and you're purchasing it. I mean, on the front they look mostly the same, but this card here, there's 189 known. So 189 known, and until within the last 5 years maybe, this card was one of the cards that this was actually cheaper than a Topps card because nobody wanted the O-Pee-Chee card. Now everybody's starting to realize how rare they are, and it's probably 3 times as much as the Topps card right now. But when you talk about rarity, you have a card that has 19,319 in the Topps versus 189 on the O-Pee-Chee. So that's one of those cards that I see as a really good value. And probably an investment. Although even the low grade will cost you $3,000 or $4,000, $2,000 or $3,000 probably. That's where I would look and watch the auctions, because those will get lost in auctions sometimes and people don't realize what they are. That's a great one. So, and here's one that so whenever I was younger, I remember the Nolan Ryan whenever Nolan was pitching. I remember the Nolan Ryan Topps Venezuelan. And so whenever I grew up and had a real job and everything, I started buying. I used to look for Topps Venezuelan, and they're really tough. I mean, so there are, compared to the other ones, so there are 45 of these known. Okay, 45 total, and like I say, they're rough cards. I mean, it's like down in Venezuela they used to stick them into books. If you'll see right here where the glue's been stuck onto the card. But anyway, it's like, and the highest known, I believe the highest known is like a 6.5. Here's a 4. I bought this one early on, but I can't find them anymore. They're tough. They're even for one. If you took one and you put it in your pocket, washed your jeans, and then send it to PSA to get graded, it would still be with $10,000 card. So and again, supply and demand says what should a card like that be worth? 45 cards, and as the population gets older and the people that have watched this start getting money and values, they're starting to put in tangible assets. That's a card that could really peak. I mean, like years from today. So it's like you buy now at the low. I mean, it's when you could buy a card that's in pretty rough condition, like this one here. You could buy that for not this one, for about $4,000, $4,000 to $5,000, 4 years ago. When I bought this one, I think it was $6,000, and it's probably $12,000 today, and that's if you can find it, because this one's not for sale. But if you can find that one, buy it. That's a good investment. Nolan Ryan's one of my top investments. I feel like it's a blue chip. You put your money into it, and then you just let it sit there. And if you want to accumulate faster, then you get the ones that are in lower grade. And the lower grade ones, this is a brown border, so it hides all the flaws. I mean, this card will be. People will want this card later. It's just, like I say, they're not going to be signing forever. So you get those signed, you put them in your bank, and eventually those things will go up, and you'll be proud you did that. So I think we spoke about the Joe DiMaggio, talking about cards that we remember whenever we were kids, sort of how they fit in with the ones that your mom threw away, and then you start looking at investment cards, and what do you want to do with investment cards? Well, you gotta hold your value. You got to know what you're buying, and you got to hold on to it and know what your value is. And these right here are cards that I bought and have known the value, and like I say, have made money because of that. So this is in Chicago. This is October 11th through 13th in Chicago, and there's a lot of autographs. So this is a new show that we're doing. And with an autograph promoter up in Chicago, GT Sports Marketing. They just have like an outstanding lineup. They were doing an autograph show, and it's just like, well, why not? Let's just go ahead and build this into something greater. And so we've combined the card show. We're running the card show, Dallas Card Show in Chicago. We'll have Drew Brees, Michael Bush, Bo Jackson. Somebody told me, though, Ohtani was the greatest athlete ever. And that kid was like 23 years old the other day. It's like, how can you even know what you're talking about? Well, if you hadn't seen Bo play, then you just don't even know what an athlete is. It's like, now Ohtani's great, but Bo's the guy, man. He'll be there. Mike Hartenstein cooking bacon. Hopefully that's not a joke that they're playing on me. But anyway, that's what my autograph Mike says. Cooking bacon. Cassidy Cook, Sarah Bacon, James Wood. He's a big prospect coming up. Colson Montgomery, same thing. Noah Schultz, Corey Lee, Mark Bortz, Michael Bush, I think I already said that, and Kate Hort. That's the lineup, and like I say, that'll be in Chicago. Hopefully, we'll see you guys there. We'll have about 250 vendor tables, so it'll be a nice size show. We got some good selections. We got people coming all over the country for that. Vendors coming from all over the country, and like I say, there'll be buyers there at the show, and people will be looking for cards. So your cards will be. It's a good market. So, and Chicago's always been one of the better markets. So bring them up there, and like I say, get you an autograph. I mean, I'm excited to meet Bo again. Frank Thomas. I don't know why you missed Frank Thomas. Frank Thomas will be there too. That'll be a big show. All right, again, I'm Kyle, Dallas Card Show, home of the sports card athlete, the original sports card athlete. Okay, and I just want to bring this up. This is okay. Again, we keep on talking about investables now, and I keep on saying that I really don't have a PC, personal collection, and all that, and so that's not totally true. Okay, so the story is I've got some favorites, and they're my favorites because of a lot of reasons, but one reason is, some guys really stepped up for us whenever we had the show during COVID, and they said, Kyle, we want you to have this show in Allen, Texas, and we want you to be safe, and we want you to, but we're business here in Texas, and so let's take care of business. Let's make it safe. Let's have commerce in Texas, and so. And like I say, this is why a lot of people are coming down from all over, that would have never been to Allen, Texas, all over the world. So we were blessed to have a couple guys from China that came in for this last show. Last weekend. I mean, they flew in from China for the show, and they've been doing that for a while now. So it's like, but if it wasn't for whenever COVID hit again, when COVID hit, that was tough times for everybody, and we were fighting the battle of, hey, we need our commerce, we need our card show here in Texas. Whenever they told us the second time, we went and knocked on the door, and we said, man, is there any way that we can do this? And so a couple of people came through. A lot of people came through me, but I picked up this ball in a collection. And whenever I've seen it, there's Texas politicians that have signed all over, and so I had two of my favorite politicians, like I say, Angela Paxton, Ken Paxton. They're the guys that really jumped out, stepped up for me, and it's like they didn't have. I mean, it's special to me, but they didn't have to do that. But. And again, hey, they were looking out for small business in Texas, and that's what the bottom line is. It's like, I understand they weren't doing that for me as a person; they were doing that as small. They were doing it for Texas, and so that's what Texas needed. And like I say, there's so many businesses that have benefited in Texas because of that type of thought. We have Greg Abbott. These two guys, they carried it up. Somehow it went from me being shut down to me making a few phone calls, or a lot of phone calls, and then all of a sudden a couple people stepping up for me, and then next thing I know, Greg Abbott has signed it into law that this is necessary business. And so it was like, and everybody was saying, hey, Kyle, man, I wish we was in Texas, because Texas was open. It's like they weren't open. We had to go knock on the doors and ask. I mean, everybody else was sitting and doing nothing. It's like every state had the opportunity. Everybody had the opportunity to do the same thing. Well, I say that if you're the red states, I mean, there's a lot of states that had the opportunity to where you could have went and knocked on the door and had the card shows. But these guys blessed us with that opportunity. They stepped up for me, And I just, like I say, I appreciate them. This is a personal collection, so don't try to buy this one. So Rick Perry, and like I say, everything's an investment. I guess if you offered me the right number, I mean, let's say that. I'm not going to say that, hey, it's not for sale, not for sale. So you could test me. You could test me and send me a stupid offer. I mean, because then we could see. And then we could see how emotionally tied I am to collectibles. So let's try that. So it's let's just call that an investment. But anyway, they invested in me. I appreciate those guys. I wanted to share that with everybody, and like I say, show what's up on my shelf at my house. It'll still be there. Like I say, unless one of you guys step up and just throw me like a crazy number, I'll get another one signed then. I guess, again, we have the show in October 11th, 13th. We have Dallas Card Show coming up in November, October 31st through November 3rd. And that'll be, I know we have Bo Jackson coming. We have Fred Blitnikoff coming. And that'll come sort of like round out that Marcus Allen and Tim Brown coming from this show here, from this last show. So you guys that have Raider helmets or Heisman helmets and need to complete all that, well, then there's two more for you. We have that'll be October 31st through the 3rd and through November 3rd. And I think one of the things that we've been toying around with, is it okay to mention it now, or is like October 31st? Okay. All right. So yeah. So we may as well go ahead and mention that now. So October 31st, and this is just kind of me free thinking here. It's like, that's going to be trick or treat, okay? So you don't want to take all your kids to the neighborhood. You don't want to do. You don't know what you're getting in there. Let's do this. Let's bring them out to the show. Let's open that foyer for trick or treat. And let's say if you bring your kids up there on that Thursday, that's October 31st. Let's let the whole family in for free, okay? Let's get everybody up there, get you participating, and let's see what this is about. Let's get new collectors into the hobby, and I just think it's important. I believe that trick or treat is a family activity. It needs to be safe, but I also believe that once you come to the card show and you see that atmosphere and you're starting to enjoy the atmosphere, you'll keep on coming back. And like I say, that's one of the benefits of the cards is you're the dads, the grandfathers, the moms. Like I say, the mom story that we had earlier today. It's like that's the beauty of them. It's that family. It's the drawdown, and plus is your kids aren't on video games. They're actually learning something that's not that video games aren't learning. It's I understand that's a college sport now, so it is, isn't it? Yeah, sure. Okay. So it's a college sport now. It's like so sports card athletes can be college. I mean, why not, right? So let's talk to the University of North Texas and see if we can get like scholarships for that. But anyway, it's like bring them out. Let's do some great things in the hobby moving forward, and let's enjoy. We got some surprises at Trade Night that we're working on, which I really want to tell you about them now, but everything's not closed out. I got to get it all okayed and all that kind of stuff. I got to get half my staff, all those guys, be ready for the extra work and all that. So, but we got some surprises coming up in Trade Night. Like I say, I'm excited about Halloween and doing that at the show, to be honest. So, but anyway, bring your kids up there. I mean, let's get the families involved. So we want that to be a home run, and we'll get some passes out or whatever into the community. So. But also remember the podcast. Just mention the podcast if you're coming up. Hey guys, this is Kyle Robertson with Dallas Card Show. Make sure you check us out on Instagram, Dallas Card Show, Facebook, Dallas Card Show, YouTube, Dallas Card Show, TikTok, Dallas Card Show, DallasCardShow.com. That's where you'll find all the updates. Everything leading up to it is the website, so all those are available. So if you need any information, we have a store here in Allen, Texas called Sports Collectors Hub. Call us there, come see us, come hang out, either at the show or the shop.